Welcome to Unhurried Minds, a quiet space for gentle stories, slow understanding and an unhurried reflection. Here there is nothing you need to do, nothing to decide, nothing to improve. You have arrived at the edge of something, not a task, not a goal, but a moment, a threshold. Before we explore tonight's story, allow yourself to settle into the place where you are listening. Let your body become heavy in the chair or the bed beneath you. Let your breathing find its own rhythm. Without guidance and without effort, if your attention drifts, that is expected. If sleep arrives, it is welcome. This is not something you must complete. Tonight, we explore the meaning of the new year. Not as a celebration of change and not as a demand for renewal, but as a quiet human practice, one that has appeared again and again across cultures, climates, and centuries. The turning of a year is not only a date on a calendar, it is a pause that humans have learned to create together. A shared moment where time feels briefly visible, where the mind is allowed to loosen its grip on what has been carried. You are not asked to leave anything behind here, only to rest at the doorway of time and notice what it feels like. To simply stand still for a moment. Chapter 1: Why Humans Mark Time. Across history, humans have always marked time. Long before clocks, before calendars, before numbered years, people watched the sky. They noticed the return of light, the shortening of days, the slow migration of seasons. Time was not measured at first, it was felt. The mind learned very early that the world moves in patterns, and from those patterns came meaning. Psychologically, the human brain does not experience time as a smooth, endless flow. Instead, it prefers edges, beginnings, endings, moments where one thing clearly becomes another. These edges serve an important function. They help the mind organize memory. They allow experience to be grouped, stored, and released. Without marked time, everything blends together. The brain struggles to know what belongs to where. Emotion lingers without a container. Effort stretches on without rest. By creating temporal boundaries, humans learned how to pause the mind. The new year is one of the most powerful of these boundaries, not because of what it promises, but because of what it allows. It allows the previous stretch of time to be named as complete. Completion is not the same as success. It is simply an acknowledgement that something has finished moving forward. From a psychological perspective, this kind of closure reduces cognitive load. When an experience is marked as ended, the brain no longer needs to keep it actively open. Thoughts soften, memories settle. This is why, near the end of a year, many people notice an increase in reflection. Moments from months ago resurface. Conversations replay. Feelings return without invitation. This is not sentimentality. It is the mind doing what it evolved to do. When it senses a boundary approaching, endings activate review. The brain looks back, not to judge, but to integrate, to decide what must be carried forward and what can finally be set down. In this way, marking time is not about control. It is about containment. Rituals, calendars, and shared dates give shape to something that would otherwise feel endless. They offer a gentle reassurance to the nervous system. This stretch has limits, and within limits, rest becomes possible. The feeling of standing between times. There is a particular sensation that accompanies the turning of a year. It is not excitement, it is not sadness, it is a loosening. Attention widens, urgency thins. Time feels slightly less solid than it did the day before. Psychologically, this is what happens when the mind enters an in-between state. Between what has been and what has not yet formed, the brain relaxes its predictive grip. It does not need to plan. It does not need to evaluate. For a brief interval, nothing is being asked of it. This is why the new year often feels quieter, even when it is loud. Internally, vigilance drops. The nervous system recognizes that one chapter has closed and another has not yet demanded shape. In these moments, perception slows. Small details become noticeable. Light through a window, the sound of distant movement, the simple fact of breathing without instruction. This slowing is not accidental. Thresholds, doorways, pauses, transitions have always been places where humans stop moving automatically. They orient. Standing between times allows the mind to recalibrate without effort. Nothing needs to be decided here. Nothing needs to be named. You are not late. You are not early. You are simply present at a point where time briefly rests. This is the psychological gift of the new year before it is interpreted, before it is assigned meaning, before it becomes a project. It is a pause that belongs to everyone without being owned by anyone. And for the nervous system, that shared stillness is enough. Chapter 2, the psychology of letting a year end. As a year approaches its close, many people notice a subtle internal shift. Thoughts slow, then wander. Memories surface without invitation. Moments that once seemed ordinary return with unexpected weight. This experience is often described as reflection. Psychologically, it is something more precise. The mind senses an ending. When the brain detects a temporal boundary, it naturally turns backward. This is not an act of evaluation, it is an act of organization. Experiences are reviewed so they can be stored. Emotions are revisited so they can be integrated. Unfinished threads are noticed, not to be resolved, but to be acknowledged. This process does not require intention. It unfolds automatically, guided by neural systems designed to create coherence from experience. Near the end of a year, time compresses in memory. Events that once felt distant begin to cluster together. The mind quietly asks, what belonged to this span of time? This is why the year's end can feel heavy, even when nothing is obviously wrong. Endings activate emotional networks. Attachment, loss, relief, and gratitude often arise together. Importantly, this weight does not imply failure, nor does it signal unfinished business. That must be corrected before time moves forward. It simply reflects the brain preparing to close a container. Completion, psychologically, is not the same as resolution. It is permission. When an experience is allowed to be complete, the nervous system no longer needs to keep it actively present. Attention softens. Cognitive loops loosen. The body releases effort. Letting a year end does not require understanding it fully. It only requires allowing it to stop moving forward. Chapter 3. Rituals of release. Across cultures and centuries, humans have understood that endings need assistance. The mind alone is often too internal to release what it has carried. So people created rituals. Rituals translate internal processes into external action. They give shape to psychological transitions that would otherwise remain invisible. Sound, fire, movement, cleaning, water. These elements appear repeatedly because they engage the body directly. When the body participates, the nervous system receives a clear signal. It is safe to let go. Slow, deliberate sounds help regulate attention. Repetitive motion discharges tension. Acts of cleaning and ordering reduce cognitive noise. These practices are not symbolic in a shallow sense. They are regulatory. They help the brain shift states. Importantly, rituals do not erase the past. They do not pretend the year did not occur. They acknowledge what has been carried and then allow it to rest. Rituals create closure without demanding interpretation. They say, without explanation, this has been held and now it can be set down. In many traditions, the year ends without analysis. There is no requirement to summarize, justify, or improve it. This absence of judgment is deliberate. When endings are evaluated, the nervous system stays alert. Self-criticism activates threat responses. Closure is delayed. Rituals bypass this problem. They allow completion without verdict. The year does not need to be redeemed, to be finished. It does not need to make sense. It does not need to lead anywhere. It is allowed to end, because time itself has moved on. Why endings feel heavier at night? Endings are often felt most strongly when the world grows quiet. As daylight fades, external demands recede. Distraction thins. The mind is no longer occupied. with immediate tasks. Psychologically, this creates space. At night, attention turns inward, without being directed to do so. Memories surface more easily. Emotions feel closer to the surface. This is not weakness. It is a change in cognitive load. During the day, the brain prioritizes action. At night, it prioritizes integration. This shift explains why reflection often intensifies. In the evening hours near the end of a year, the nervous system is less defended, the mind is more permeable. Winter deepens this effect. Shorter days, longer darkness, and colder temperatures naturally reduce outward movement. Energy is conserved, activity slows. Psychologically, this slowing signals that it is safe to turn inward. Endings feel heavier here, because they are being felt, not managed. Fatigue also plays a role. As the year concludes, many people are tired in ways that cannot be easily named. Cognitive fatigue lowers resistance. Emotional material moves more freely. This is why year-end heaviness does not respond well to analysis or motivation. What the system is asking for is not clarity, it is containment. Night offers this containment naturally. Darkness reduces stimulation. Stillness supports integration. In this way, the heaviness of endings is not something to overcome. It is a signal that the mind is doing exactly what it needs to do before release becomes possible. Chapter 4: Cyclical Time and the Human Mind. After an ending, the mind does not immediately look forward. It first looks around. Across many cultures, time has been understood not as a straight line, but as a cycle dash dash, a returning movement rather than a departure. Psychologically, cyclical time reduces pressure. When time is imagined as linear, each ending can feel final. Each beginning carries the weight of expectation. Progress becomes a requirement. Cyclical time offers a different reassurance. What has passed is not lost. What returns is not entirely new. Life continues through variation, not replacement. From a cognitive perspective, this framing lowers threat responses. The mind does not need to invent a new identity. To move forward, it only needs to re-enter a familiar rhythm. This is why many New Year traditions do not emphasize transformation. They emphasize return to family, return to light, return to balance, return to shared meals and repeated gestures. Renewal in this sense, it is not reinvention, it is realignment. Chapter 5: Lunar New Year and the Meaning of Return. In many parts of the world, the New Year is not marked by a fixed date, but by the movement of the moon. Lunar New Year traditions place emphasis not on the future, but on reconnection. In China, the New Year centers on reunion. Families travel long distances to gather in one place. Meals are shared. Ancestors are remembered. Psychologically, these practices restore continuity. They remind the mind that identity is not built year by year, but carried across generations. In Vietnam, the New Year marks a moral and relational reset. Old tensions are softened. Unspoken grievances are allowed to rest. Harmony is restored where possible. These rituals do not deny conflict or difficulty. They create a container in which repair is prioritized over evaluation. From a psychological perspective, this reduces relational stress. Attachment systems are soothed. Belonging is reinforced. Renewal here does not mean starting over alone. It means returning together. The past is not discarded, it is carried forward with greater care. Renewal without reinvention. Modern culture often treats renewal as a demand for replacement. A new year is expected to produce a new self, new habits, new outcomes. Psychologically, this expectation creates resistance. The mind protects continuity. Identity is stabilized through repetition. Abrupt calls for reinvention can feel like a threat rather than an opportunity. This is why many people feel tension at the idea of a fresh start. It implies that what existed before was insufficient. Renewal, in its original sense, does not function this way. To renew is not to discard. It is to refresh what already exists. Cyclical traditions understand this intuitively. They invite return, not replacement. From a nervous system perspective, This matters. Change that preserves continuity is more easily integrated. The system does not need to remain alert. Adaptation occurs quietly. When renewal is framed as repair, rather than reinvention, the mind relaxes. What remains can remain. What no longer fits is allowed to fade naturally. Nothing is forced. This is why many cultures place renewal in the context of family, ancestry, and memory. They remind the individual that change does not occur in isolation. It occurs within a larger continuity that can support it. Renewal, then, is not a break from the past. It is a gentler relationship with it. Chapter 6. Spring, New Year's, and the Biology of Hope. Some New Year traditions align, not with winter, but with the arrival of spring. These calendars follow life itself. In Iran, the New Year coincides with the equinox, a moment of balance between light and dark. This alignment matters psychologically. The human nervous system responds to light. Longer days influence mood, energy, and attention. Hope, in this context, it is not an abstract belief. It is a biological response. When renewal coincides with visible growth, the mind does not need to imagine possibility. It can observe it. Importantly, spring-based New Years do not demand optimism. They do not require confidence or certainty. They simply acknowledge that life continues to unfold. Growth occurs without instruction. Balance emerges through time, not effort. Psychologically, this reframes hope as something that arises naturally when conditions allow. Hope becomes a rhythm, not a goal. Beginnings arrive when the system is ready, not when it is commanded to change. Chapter 7. Sound, light, and collective regulation. New Year rituals often appear dramatic on the surface. Fireworks, bells, music, silence that follows noise. Psychologically, these elements are not decorative, they are regulatory. The nervous system responds first to sensation, not meaning. Sound alters attention. Light shifts orientation. Shared rhythm synchronizes bodies before it aligns thoughts. When many people experience the same sensory moment together, the brain receives a signal of safety. The environment becomes predictable. Vigilance softens. Loud sounds can release stored tension. They provide a clear endpoint to accumulated arousal. Silence that follows allows integration. Light, particularly in darkness, anchors attention outward. It reduces internal scanning. The mind rests more easily when the environment feels held. Importantly, these effects occur without conscious intention. One does not need to understand the ritual for the body to respond. Collective timing matters. When millions of people pause together, the pressure to act individually diminishes. Urgency dissolves. The future stops demanding immediate preparation. For a brief interval, the nervous system experiences permission. When the body lets the year go. After the rituals end, many people notice a particular sensation. Fatigue, not the exhaustion of effort, but a deeper heaviness, as though something has finally been set down. Psychologically, this is a sign of release. Throughout the year, the body maintains subtle forms of tension. Muscles remain slightly activated. Attention stays partially oriented toward anticipation. At the turning of the year, especially after collective ritual, these background activations are allowed to resolve. The nervous system shifts from readiness to recovery. This is why sleep often follows New Year moments, why people feel drowsy. Even after stimulation, the body recognizes that a holding phase has ended. Importantly, this release is not cognitive. It does not come from understanding that the year is over. It comes from sensation. The absence of demand allows the body to recalibrate. Breathing deepens, posture softens, thought slows. In this state, the mind is less inclined to plan or evaluate. It simply rests. This resting state is not passive, it is integrative. Memory consolidates more effectively. Emotional tone stabilizes. The nervous system restores equilibrium. When the body lets the year go, it prepares the ground for whatever comes next. without deciding what that must be. Chapter 8. Why resolution creates strain. Modern New Year culture often replaces ritual with resolution. The focus shifts from closure to correction. Psychologically, this shift is costly. Resolutions rely on rapid identity change. They ask the brain to become someone different without sufficient transition. This activates self-monitoring systems. Attention turns inward, mistakes attract. Deviation feels threatening. Rather than easing the nervous system, resolutions often increase cognitive load. They frame the new year as a test. From a psychological perspective, and this keeps the mind in a state of readiness. Alert, evaluative, tense. Change, however, does not emerge well from pressure. The brain adapts most effectively when it feels safe, supported, and unobserved. Rituals create this safety. By removing performance entirely, there is nothing to succeed at, nothing to measure. This is why older New Year traditions rarely emphasize goals. They emphasize orientation. Where are we now? What has returned? What can rest? These questions regulate. They do not demand. Chapter 9. Beginning without demand. A beginning does not need to announce itself with intention. Psychologically, the mind integrates change more effectively when it is allowed to unfold gradually. Beginnings that arrive quietly do not threaten identity. They do not provoke resistance. Instead of asking what should change, the nervous system asks a simpler question: what feels possible now? This distinction matters. Possibility emerges from readiness, not willpower. When the body is regulated, attention widens. Curiosity returns. The future feels less urgent and more accessible. This is the deeper function of New Year rituals across cultures. They do not initiate transformation, they restore balance. From balance, change may follow, or it may not. Either way, the system is no longer strained. The year does not open as a challenge. It opens as space. Chapter 10. The doorway of time. At the turning of a year, it can feel as though one must step forward quickly before the moment closes. But psychologically, a doorway is not a demand to move. It is a place to pause. Thresholds slow perception. They invite orientation rather than action. The mind becomes briefly aware of where it has been and where it stands now. This is why the new year feels different. From an ordinary day, time seems to widen, urgency softens. The future does not yet press for shape. Standing at this doorway, you are not required to decide what comes next. The nervous system settles when choice is suspended, when movement is optional, when stillness is allowed. A year does not open all at once. It opens the way any meaningful chapter does, gradually through small moments of readiness. Nothing needs to be carried across this threshold unless it still belongs with you, and nothing needs to be left behind unless it is ready to rest. Chapter 11. Time continues kindly. Time is often spoken of as something that moves quickly or something that runs out. Psychologically, this framing creates pressure. The mind tightens, attention narrows. Across cultures, however, New Year traditions suggest a gentler relationship. Time is not rushing you. It is continuing. It moves forward, with or without effort, with or without certainty. You do not need to keep pace with it. The nervous system regulates when it senses continuity rather than threat, when time feels steady rather than demanding. This is why many New Year rituals end quietly. After sound, there is silence. After gathering, there is rest. The system integrates. The body understands that nothing more is required. The year continues not because it must be filled, but because life does what it has always done. It unfolds. Chapter 12. A gentle beginning. As this story comes to rest, there is no instruction to carry forward. No intention to set, no version of yourself to imagine. A gentle beginning does not announce itself as a beginning. It allows the next moment to arrive without resistance. If the year brings change, it will emerge from balance. If it brings repetition, that too has value. Psychologically, both are signs of a system that is alive and adaptive. You are not behind, you are not late, you are not required to be ready. The year has already begun in the smallest possible way. With breath continuing, with time moving gently onward, rest as the first act of the year. Rest is often treated as something that follows effort. Psychologically, rest is what prepares the system for effort, whether effort ever arrives or not. At the beginning of a year, rest restores balance. Before any direction is chosen, it allows the nervous system to complete its cycle without interruption. In rest, the brain consolidates memory, emotional tone stabilizes, the body recalibrates without instruction. This is why sleep often arrives naturally at the end of New Year rituals. The system recognizes that integration has begun. Rest does not delay the year. It grounds it. When rest is permitted first, whatever follows, change, continuity, or stillness emerges with less strain. Nothing needs to be planned for rest to be meaningful. It is already doing its work. Chapter 13. Time Revisited. As we return once more to the idea of time, it may feel different than it did. At the beginning of this story, less urgent, less demanding. Time is not a path you must walk correctly. It is a movement that includes you, whether you attend to it or not. The new year does not ask for readiness or resolve. It arrives because time continues to arrive. You are allowed to meet it as you are, with clarity or confusion, with energy or fatigue, with hope or uncertainty. All are forms of presence. As this moment settles, you may notice that nothing has been decided, and yet nothing is missing. The doorway remains open. The year continues quietly, patiently, kindly. Chapter 14. Sitting with the year. There is a moment, often unnoticed, when the year no longer asks to be examined. It has already passed through you. You do not need to remember it clearly. You do not need to retrieve its details or organize its meaning. The mind sometimes believes that reflection requires effort, that understanding must be earned through attention. But psychologically, integration does not depend on focus. Much of what the year has carried has already settled. Beneath conscious thought, images may arise now. A place, a conversation, a feeling, and then fade again. There is no need to hold them. The brain naturally releases what no longer needs active storage. This happens quietly without instruction. You may notice that some memories feel distant already, as though they belong to a different version of time. Others may feel closer, not because they are unresolved, but because they mattered. Both are allowed. Sitting with the year does not mean reviewing it. It means allowing it to exist without being summoned. The nervous system relaxes when it realizes that nothing is being asked of the past. No summary is required. No conclusion is necessary. The year does not need to be carried forward intact. What remains will remain on its own. Chapter 15. When nothing is required. There are very few moments in modern life when nothing is required. Even rest is often given instructions. Even pauses are scheduled. But psychologically, the deepest form of regulation occurs when effort disappears entirely. This is one of those moments you do not need to listen carefully. You do not need to remember what is said. You do not need to stay awake. If attention drifts, that is expected. If thoughts overlap with words, that is natural. The brain integrates best when it is not being supervised. There is no task hidden here, no insight to extract, no conclusion to reach. The nervous system softens when it senses that vigilance is unnecessary. Breathing adjusts on its own. Muscles release without being told. Thought slows because it no longer needs to scan. Nothing needs to improve. For this moment to be complete, nothing needs to resolve. For the year to continue, you are allowed to simply be here, or only partially here, or not here at all. Even absence is permitted. The mind does not fall behind when it rests. It returns. Chapter 16. Time moving on its own. Time has already begun to move forward. It did not wait for readiness. It did not require agreement. This movement is gentle, almost imperceptible. Moments follow moments, without instruction. The nervous system responds to this continuity with relief. Nothing has to be decided. For time to continue, nothing has to be planned. For the next moment to arrive, this is not something you must participate in. You are already included. Across cultures, across years, across countless lives, time has always moved this way, quietly, without demand. The new year does not stand apart from the flow of time. It is simply one place, where attention pauses briefly before moving on. You may notice now that the sense of urgency has softened. The future is no longer pressing. The past is no longer pulling. There is only this slow continuation. If sleep arrives here, it is not an interruption. It is part of the rhythm. If wakefulness remains, it does not need to be filled. Time will continue, whether you attend to it or not. And you, exactly as you are already moving with it. As this story comes to a close, there is nothing to gather from it. No meaning to extract, no insight to carry forward. Everything that needed to settle has already begun to do so. If parts of this journey were missed, they are not missing. If words faded in and out, that was expected. The mind learns gently when it is allowed to wander. You do not need to stay with this moment. You do not need to leave it either. Time will continue in its own quiet way. If sleep is near, you may allow it to arrive without ceremony. If wakefulness remains, it can rest here without purpose. This space does not close abruptly. It simply softens until it is no longer needed. Thank you for spending this time.
With unhurried minds.
Nothing more is required. Good night.